let's jump in. This is my last little bit. This is we're not going to do the whole thing because we won't have time. But this is Greg Kelly talking about Hamas releasing hostages. So you just know, first of all, the title of this, look at the cover, but whatever. The title of this, Greg Kelly, we see where Obama's allegiance lies, not with America. And this is probably because Obama we're concerned about Palestinian civilians. You know, because that's not what American Christians would feel about innocent civilians in a war zone. We don't even consider that shit. Ugh. But Greg Kelly is fucking miserable because Biden is negotiating the release of these hostages, and they're happening. But here you go. This is Greg Kelly exposes the Biden and Obama scheme to not let Israel defend itself. Oh, boy.
They are hostages no longer. 2 women freed a short time ago from Gaza, freed from Hamas.
Uh-huh. You sound pissed.
Finally, they are safe. And it was exhilarating to see them return.
And that lady is talking to the Hamas guy. She's shaking his hand and saying, basically, for 2 reasons. One, because she's alive and she's glad to be alive. And they honored the fact that they were going to release her. But also on behalf of the other hostages being held. Because you don't want to go, you fuckers, now I'm free. Because they'll go home and fucking beat the shit out of, they'll go back to the cave and beat the shit out of one of the hostages they never intend to give up. So if you can extend your humanity, it's anybody remember in Silence of the Lambs where my daughter is Catherine, where she talks about her daughter and she keeps naming her, and Clarice is talking to her friend who's the other FBI student. She's like, God damn, that's smart. She keeps saying her name so that it makes it harder to hurt her. That's what she's doing here. This woman is smart, and she's recognizing there are still people in harm's way. Greg Kelly doesn't give a shit about this. He would play it, you'll see, I'm sure.
Absolutely awesome.
Absolutely awesome. Awesome. A word Greg Kelly uses all the time, but has no idea what it means.
And then a couple of days ago, we had the other younger women who were released after going through God knows what. We're getting...
Well, they know what, because they're alive and they can tell, and I'm sure they will. But they're going to hold on to it till other people are freed, rather than come out and go, this happened to me and this happened to me, and they were this kind of awful, and making everybody go, well, fuck it then, let's just bomb the area.
Idea of what happened to them. I am glad that they are released. This
Are you really?
make me reevaluate their captors.
What? Hold on.
I am glad that they are released. This does not make me reevaluate.
This does not make me reevaluate their captors. No one's asking you to. This is transactional. Just be happy the transaction worked, fuckwad.
Their captors. Not at all. Take a look at that woman, the most recently released hostage. Who would ever take her hostage?
Who would ever take her hostage? Hamas. Fuck are you talking about? First of all, let's just understand what Greg Kelly's saying. What are old people worth as hostages? Nobody cares what happens to them.
To begin with. An absolute animal. Horrible, evil people.
Greg. Booby. Silence your fucking phone. You're doing a segment on people who were taken hostage during the worst slaughter of Jewish people since the fucking Holocaust. You can't put on Do Not Disturb, you asshole. By the way, these are very serious issues, and I want to remind everybody that I refuse to take Greg Kelly seriously because he's not a serious person. So when I joke about this stuff, I'm not joking about the real circumstances behind this. I'm joking about this motherfucker wanting you and I to participate in the illusion that this motherfucker has anything worth saying.
The only ones.
It did it again.
Absolute animal. Horrible, evil.
Every time Greg says horrible evil, an angel gets his wings.
They're the only ones. Remember, yes, they were released. You have to remember this. That does not make their captors good or decent people.
We know. It's a transaction, fuckwad.
They are incorrigible. They are.
This guy thinks that because we're negotiating and getting hostages out, that means we're going to be okay with what Hamas does in the future. What the shit? Is that what he... And by the way, not you and I, because we don't watch his fucking show. His viewers.
The absolute worst. And they're playing from an ancient terrorist playbook.
How ancient is it? Is it in Cyrillic, or is it in like Greek, or is it in like... Is it like the Dead Sea Scrolls? Is it written in a dead language, Greg? The ancient terrorist. Remember when people used to have wind-up suicide vests and the IEDs were made out of clay? when back in ancient times, when Neanderthals used to whittle IEDs from oak.
This releasing of the hostages, we want everybody. We want them all safe and sound, and however they get out, great.
First of all, ew. Secondly, however they get out, great. No. Motherfucker, you didn't agree with the unfreezing of $6 billion in Iranian money that was in a South fucking Korean bank since 2017, when Donald Trump allowed Iran to sell oil to China and South Korea and Russia and made that money. And then it was frozen a year and a half later because he was catching shit for it from his own members of his own party. So he shut it down, and that money got frozen and had been sitting there. Greg Kelly does not agree with the unfreezing of that money for the release of American hostages in Iran. He doesn't. Whatever the price tag on a human life is, fucking Greg Kelly knows it is well below $6 billion in the other person's money.
But the captors, they should die for what they have done.
Yes, the captors, especially the ones that actually walk them out. Greg, not helping. They should, whatever it takes, but kill these fuckers. Kill them as soon as they give up all the hostages. Kill them. Greg, if they do that, there's no reason why they would give up the hostages.
I mean, take a look at it.
Yeah, just look.
Children being taken hostage. Can you believe that there are groups in the United...
First of all, that's not footage of children being taken hostage. Those are adults. They were taken from we've seen this footage before. That poor woman, I don't know if she's alive. I'm fairly certain her boyfriend, that guy right there, is dead. It's fucking horrifying. But I don't... Just say what's in the fucking video that's in front of you, dumb... fucking...
It's actually supporting the people who took the hostages or shot into the homes of families where there are children and burn those homes to the ground?
No, it's not. It's just simply trying to get hostages back. They're not signing on to the Hamas fucking constitution that they wrote that says in line 2 that the Jews need to be eradicated and Israel needs to cease to exist. You don't have to sign on to that to negotiate to get your fucking hostages back.
Slaughtered 1,000+ people at a concert?
No. These are wholly unrelated, motherfucker. You're just trying to get your hostages back.
It's unthinkable. It's barbaric, beyond barbaric. And there must be accountability of the most brutal order, in my opinion.
Yeah, but Greg, that is why you don't belong anywhere near the negotiation for hostages. Jesus Christ. It's like some motherfucker showing it up at a place where somebody's, standing on top of a building. He's just yelling jump at this point. Shut the fuck up. You're not contributing at all. And again, it's bad enough that opinion has become news on Fox News after dark, right? That's bad enough. This is emotion. This is just strictly like an emotional bloodletting. Like, this is not thoughtful or intellectually sound or even a fucking conversation about reality. This is just this motherfucker just barfing his id all over everything. I feel bad. This is terrible. Like, yeah, we all feel terrible in this situation. It's a terrible situation, dumb fuck. You're not contributing.
Now, we want to minimize, obviously, civilian casualties.
Obviously? Why? Why is it obvious from what you're saying? Play, silly.
The lives of the innocent, but Hamas started this by throwing rockets indiscriminately into Israel, breaking through that border. Now, there is a fair amount of the world saying, "Oh, but they released the hostages. This is a big step in the right direction."
It is a step in the right direction. No one said it's a big step in the right direction. Nobody is saying 4 out of 250 plus hostages is a big step. Shut the fuck up. No one is saying that. Not a single person. Even the people who would use it as a plus are saying, are already on the side of Hamas. Thank you for the warning. It is 5 o'clock. A couple more seconds and then I'm out.
I don't think so, actually.
You don't think at all, dumbass.
This is a stunt. And terrorists do it all the time.
They do. I mean, you can set your watch by it. Fucking terrorists, you know what I mean? Like, it's terrorist o'clock somewhere.
History, or you can look at actually a film, a classic actually, that was made with great technical accuracy about terrorism.
What? Okay, first of all, I love Nighthawks. Fuck you. Don't drag a movie I like into this. Now, he'll probably go with the fact that Rutger Hauer's character in this is just a brutal murderer, and he seduces people into being on his side, and then he kills them. He kills a woman in this. He shoots up people that he's aligned with and all this stuff. And for the record, Greg, I don't know if you're going there, but I think if you're saying what I think you're saying, that this could all be solved with a man in drag. Because, spoiler alert, if you haven't seen Nighthawks, see Nighthawks. If you want to see Sylvester Stallone in a dress, twice.
Early 1980s, Sylvester Stallone, a terrorist.
Billy D. Williams. Don't leave out Billy D. Williams just because he's not in the fucking poster.
Murders a woman in cold blood.
He does a lot more than that. He's a terrorist shithead.
I mean, it's awful.
Yeah, it is. It is awful when a woman gets murdered. Hey, look at that. Me and Greg Kelly and I are in agreement. Isn't that lovely? Man, thanks for crossing that bridge, Greg. I never thought you'd get there, but...
Ruthlessly shoots her.
Ruthlessly.
Leave us alone. We've done nothing.
You must be very proud. If you will come over...
No, you take me!
Also, he's got a woman with him who's helping him, who, kills people too.
Gigi, what is happening?
Life.
I'm going to shoot her and yeah, they're terrorists.
He's just taking a woman. He's bringing her to the front of the tram car. He has her against the window.
This motherfucker, this asshole's going to show this. Hold on.
Oh, Christ, don't do it.
And the terrorists...
Oh, Christ, don't do it.
Oh, they are playing us.
Yeah, as you can learn from this educational film from the early 80s, starring Rutger Hauer. You can't trust these people. If he's going to shoot the woman, you're better off just using the guns on the helicopter that don't exist to fire into the entire thing. If you can get him and the woman that's working with him, you might have to just shoot up all the other hostages in the fucking trolley car. Jesus Christ.
Especially the media, even in the movies.
You're wasting your time. As you see, I'm not to be taken lightly.
Well, obviously you are, or we would have a sniper here, and they would just shoot you by yourself. Because you're standing alone in front of a pane of glass, and pretty sure the rest of the people there could take the woman that's with you because she doesn't have a gun. I don't want to... Monday morning quarterbacking a movie from 1981, but...
We hear you. Before we go any further...
I want one of those hats.
An infant here. I want it taken off. I don't want it pressed to right. that I'm a man without a conscience.
Yeah, you do realize this is written to show that that is fake empathy and the manipulation. It is his character is being manipulative, and it's not like the audience went, "Oh, what a guy." You know what? I've been wrong about this Rutger Hauer jackal character this entire time. I don't know. Maybe the guys in the helicopter are the bad guys. I've got to rethink the plot of this whole movie.
So this remains a battle, good versus evil.
Rutger Hauer versus Sylvester Stallone, where Billy D. Williams gets his face slashed and almost dies in one of the and I have to say, a very 70s wound.
It's very, very simple.
It is very simple, and that, in deference to Greg Kelly and his audience, because that's the important thing. You may think, and you probably do. And I got to get going because I got a show at Flappers tonight, Patreon. And yes, somebody just who I couldn't see it on my phone because of this thing. Somebody sent me a message. Let's say, but yes. If like, just tell him if let you in. I have a new Patreon subscriber, so they want to show up at the show tonight, and they can come and bring a guest, because that's how it works live on any of my solo shows, that Patreon subscribers can come for free and bring a guest to my stand-up shows. And as best I can, in a limited capacity, I think I've probably got a limit of about 10 or 15, depending on the size of the venue. For if it's standing room, then I think we're good. But for the Nerd Halen shows as well. So patreon.com/HalSparks. But anyways, in deference to what Greg Kelly is saying here about this, it's very simple. Okay, this is a constant refrain you will hear from people like Greg Kelly, idiots in general, assholes, that will try to take a very complex situation that requires focus on elements of each of the different parts of the issue, that require solutions like the cracking of a safe, and the tumblers going one direction versus the other direction versus the other direction, and these guys are like, why don't we just blow it up? Because you blow up the shit inside, stupid, right? What they want to do is take a complex situation like that requires, quiet moments, loud moments, focus and concentration on different elements of it, and they want to act like the whole process is just cracking a safe. It's just that simple. And the reason they do that is twofold. One is to give the illusion that goes along with the sort of stroke of the pen fallacy that we've talked about on the show, but also to sell this idea that they somehow have a key to the simple solution, which they never present, but it mythically exists somewhere. Trump talks about it. It'd be so easy. He does this all the time. It'd be so easy. I could fix this in 24 hours. We would have had a deal, within a couple of days, all that shit. All right. All of those things are nonsense. They're all garbage. But it can sit as a myth in his followers' minds, because they'll go, oh, he has the simple solution. Everything's so complex and I can barely deal with it. But this fucker has figured out how to simplify the solution, and he can make it happen. The other one is that they can take this sort of complex world and act as though the complexity itself is a myth. That everybody who's telling you that we have to deal with this aspect of the issue and this aspect of the issue, that it's more like, the kind of activity that engineers and physicists and like chemists deal with in the multitude of different exchanges or combustions or combinations of chemicals, or the physical load on certain bearing columns in an engineering diagram versus load-bearing walls or non-load-bearing fixtures, that kind of stuff. That there's a myriad of things in a complex issue like Israel and Palestine. It is that kind of an issue. And anybody who tries to talk to you like it's this and that and that's that is an first of all, they're selling something, or they're just too stupid to comprehend that part. And in the case of Greg Kelly, he's both. On this show, I don't fear complexity. And whenever we talk about something in a specific area about it, like the response to what Hamas did and what's going to happen from Israel, what's going to happen from Israel about this Hamas attack is not even in my idea, a measure of what should happen or could happen, because we're not a participant in all the moving parts of that at all. We couldn't even factor those in unless we were there and a part of it or one of the parties involved directly. So even talking about that is an oversimplification that it shows disregard for the depth of the issue that you're dealing with. But on top of that, when we're talking about singular parts of it, we're talking about those singular parts. And anybody who will hyper-generalize when we're discussing those things, and we see this happen in the chat sometimes, and I love you guys, and you know exactly what I'm talking about, is that people go, but what about this aspect of it? Or that doesn't deal with this part. It's not supposed to. Because in highly complex issues, you should be able to talk about singular slices of the overall issue, because some decisions are load-bearing and some are not. It does not mean that the non-load-bearing ones are not important, because those are the walls that keep the wind out. Those are the walls that give safety and comfort as well. But you can't discuss the load-bearing issues like you do the non-load-bearing issues, and you can't talk about what would effectively be the fixtures in this architectural system in the same way you talk about the foundational issues. And you have to be able to discuss them separately. You have to be able to stick to that conversation. The foundational aspects cannot bleed into what it looks like. What it looks like cannot bleed into the foundational issues. That's one of the problems that you have with the Greg Kellys of the world, or what people would call mainstream media, or even the fucking Roganizing of the news. Because Rogan does that a lot too. Rogan will bleed a story out into such blather where he's like, I'm being all inclusive of the entire conversation to the point where it becomes nonsensical. It requires it, and it's why regardless of what Rogan wants from his show, the end result is nihilism. It's always nihilism. Rogan's show always results in a throwing up of the hands and everything's fucked. Because it's built on that illusion that all things are equal in a conversation. And they frankly aren't. And he will talk about the shutters on a place the same way he will talk about the support columns. And act as if the shutters are indicative of how strong the support columns are, and vice versa. It's dumb. And Greg Kelly and by the way, and Rogan, if you pinned him down, I think, is intelligent enough to recognize that if you pointed it out in the moment. He'll forget next time because he smokes that much weed. But in the moment, he's capable of understanding it. Greg Kelly is not. Nor is anybody in the RAV clip that we looked at. Nor is, quite frankly, half of the MTG or Boberg or whatever. Matt Gaetz is capable of recognizing this, but he has an alternative motive. He doesn't care. He's a chaos agent on purpose. That accidental nihilism that happens because of how Rogan does things is the purpose of what Matt Gaetz does. Does that make sense? Okay, I got to go do a show. You guys are lovely. Thank you so much. I will absolutely live stream the show if it's at all possible. If I cannot, I will, as soon as they send me the file, I will post it. So thank you so much. Take care of yourself and take care of somebody else. I got to go sort of clean myself up and feed myself and be ready for a show and all that stuff. Love you guys. Take care of yourself and take care of somebody else. And I will see you next time. I promise.